This particular customer is the biggest pain in the butt ever.
What the risk factor is of them not paying.
Those are the 20% customers that make 80% of your work, the price shoppers.
Wow, this looks like a dirty job. And I instantly knew there was an opportunity there.
That's probably the hardest step right there, is just launching and getting the first 10 customers. Why am I stuck here? What do I need to do different?
Oh my gosh, what a cleaning business. Why would you want to start that?
Okay, I really want you to clean my ceiling.
You made over $1 million your first year in this business, which is crazy.
You don't need as many leads as you think. Do less marketing and make more money. The faster your website loads, the better you're going to do.
I don't see myself as like, the best salesperson on the planet. So,
and then your job is going to be to get away from being on the phones.
Is PPC the answer?
Start recording where you're getting the leads from, double down on those channels, maybe cut back on the other ones.
Wow.
If you ever felt stuck in your business, maybe you were drowning in leads last month and this month you're just like, where are they? I need more leads. I need more marketing. If you've ever had this thought, stay tuned. I'm getting into it with Konner King of Glowy Cleaning out of California. And we're going to be answering all these questions, doing a deep dive on how do I fix my marketing? How do I get these leads? And how do I grow my freaking business? My name is Ryan Knoll. I'm a business coach and an entrepreneur running a company called Tidy Casa, doing over $2 million a year. And I am answering questions from people who are getting started, who have been in business for a while, or just struggling with some piece of their business. I've been through all of this. I've seen it happen. I coach hundreds of businesses. So I'm going to be breaking it down for free. So if you've been struggling with any of these things, leads are too expensive, employees want more money, or we're not feeling profitable, we're not getting enough calls, our sales are too low, post it in the comments. Let me know what you're struggling with, what you're working on, what you're going to do it different. If I like your comment enough, I will have you on this show. I will invite you on this show and we'll be able to just hang out for an hour and go over anything that you're struggling with. So like, comment, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you've got going on. So I'm Ryan Knoll, business coach, entrepreneur, owner of Tidy Casa, home cleaning business doing over $2 million a year. I'm talking with Konner King of Glow Cleaning out of California. Just met online. You saw me on another podcast and just kind of had some questions for me. So I said, hey, let's come on and ask. So anything else we need to know about you, Konner?
No, not that I can think of, Ryan. Super grateful for your time and your expertise. It's a privilege to be speaking with you today. And yeah, I'm just here as a student. And as you know, the cleaning industry, it's a very unique business, and there's a lot of things you can do right and a lot of things you can do wrong, I guess, with any company. But I've originally was doing Amazon FBA, kind of the online business route for some time. And what attracted me to the cleaning business was it was like, wow, this looks like a dirty job. And I instantly knew there was an opportunity there. And I think I've listened to some of your podcasts. One of the first things your friends and family start to say to you is like, oh my gosh, what a cleaning business. Why would you want to start that? And because it's not very shiny, it doesn't have any of the glimmer. And to me, that's what stood out.
Actually, like Amazon FBA.
Yeah, right. It attracts you. And I was doing okay on FBA, had a number one product in my niche in the 3D printing tools and supplies, 5-star reviews. And then Amazon started pretty much robbing with their margins and just made it no longer a profitable product. Yeah. And unless I was to buy $250,000 worth of inventory, which I don't have that kind of coin to get my cost per product down. And I think the cleaning thing was extremely just attractive to the sense like, well, this is a services company, and it looks like house cleaning isn't something where there's a massive amount of liability. I don't need a contractor's license. So, but that's kind of a little bit about me.
Well, and it's a great industry too because of the recurring revenue. So if you're doing interior maid service, if you're doing carpet cleaning, you have that recurring customer. Window cleaning is about the same. Okay. So you can really capitalize on a lifetime value. So just to kind of back up really quick, for people that don't know, Amazon FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, you're basically buying products, shipping it to the Amazon warehouse, and then it's getting sold. And then you're making a small margin on all of those. So there's a huge difference between the two, right? One, you're kind of dealing with your manufacturers and with Amazon, and the other, you're dealing with human beings that you're doing a service for. And instead of selling one product for $40, $50 and making $10 on it if you're lucky, we're selling a service for $200, $300 and hoping to make about $60 on that, about 20% margins, kind of where we want to be. So I love that background, love the entrepreneurship and kind of the adjustment. I did something very, very similar. started in, building websites for people. And then I had a software business and nothing really kind of clicked until I just decided to do something dead stupid and dirty, like you were saying. So I love this journey for you. Now, you had a couple of questions. So let's just kind of tackle them one at a time. What's the first number one thing on your mind?
So my first question, I was able to get lucky with Google local service ads in Ventura County, California, where I'm located. And I tried pay-per-click and just wasn't able to get the return on investment there, noticing that it cost me almost $150 for every paying client with the PPC. And I know, but I'm not a PPC expert. And I might not have hired the right individual. So I'm getting most of my business right now on LSA. Also using Angie ads, which I'm getting, those leads aren't very high quality, but I'm actually getting some decent conversions there, and word of mouth and referral, trying to milk every job and every client as much as humanly possible. Also using Nextdoor, generating some business on Nextdoor, a couple of Craigslist ads, but I'm really just looking for another, another lifeline I can plug into and to try to scale the business. And if I can't find that lifeline, my immediate next thought goes to, I need to go into another territory and do what I'm currently doing. And maybe that's the answer. And I've seen your background. You're a master in SEO and SEM. You really know the ins and outs of the marketing world. And I believe that's contributed to your just, monumental, like skyrocketing success. You said you made over $1 million your first year in this business, which is crazy. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that my answer is probably going to surprise you a little bit.
Sure. Okay.
So I want to unpack it, because of the thing that I'm hearing, the word is I need more leads, right? And that's where most entrepreneurs that I talk to go. Hey, I'm struggling in this business. I'm not sure what to do. If only I could throw more human beings into this funnel I've got, I'd be able to capitalize on it and make some business. But what I'm hearing is you're getting calls, you're getting leads, you've got a couple marketing channels that are working, and you're a relatively new business. You said a couple months old at this point?
Yeah. Yes. About 2.5 months old in total. Yes.
Cool. Well, and then congratulations on the start. It's not uncommon though to, Amy, you did the very first right thing, which is you started, you got a couple customers and you're doing it. That's probably the hardest step right there, is just launching and getting the first 10 customers. You've got at least 10 customers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Averaging about 2 to 3 jobs a day right now, which isn't bad.
Hey, no, that's excellent for being 2 months in. And very similar trajectory for me. There's a J curve that happens. And the thing that you're going to notice with cleaning is you don't need as many leads as you think you're going to need to get to $1 million. $1 million in this industry looks like 250 regular reoccurring customers, not a huge amount, right? 250 people, you could probably just go and walk past them at the mall and, that's $1 million worth of sales. So with that, I need to understand a little bit more about what happens when they pick up the phone and call, or when they engage with your ad. Where do they go next? So I find you on Google with that $150 lead. Where am I? Am I on your website? Am I on your Facebook page? Like, where's the landing page? What's the next step?
Yeah. So if on Google pay-per-click, the landing page would be the website. They go to the website, www.glowicleaning.com. And there's just a basic sales funnel that happens. But the majority of the business comes from Google local service ads, which is which I'm sure you know what that is. It's when you become, Google guaranteed, get the check mark, and it's just a phone call. That's where I'd say 90% of the business comes from, is that phone call. And right now I'm the point of sale. I'm the person that's answering all the phone calls, and I just take them through just a sales process where I identify, how many bedrooms and bathrooms their home is. I asked when the last time the home was professionally cleaned just to understand the cleanliness. And then I also like to keep the person on the phone for, a little bit, just to see what type of person you're dealing with and like what the risk factor is of them not paying. Because I noticed that there are some red flags where you can understand if somebody's going to be really happy and really upset and insist on a refund, or if somebody's trying to get something that, like an absolute disaster for free. This is somebody that might not be a good return if we send a cleaner there. So that's pretty much.
So
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, are you tracking people that call versus people that, it looks like, so I'm on your website right now, Glowy Cleaning, and it does look like it's very much pushing people to call.
Yes, and
right?
I only ran PPC for about 3 weeks, and I know you need to run longer for tests because I was I was first off new in the business, but I wanted to speak with you and to the degree like, is PPC the answer? Do I, and where should, if I'm going to be investing marketing dollars, I guess, what are you guys doing? Is it LSA? Is it PPC? Or what's the funnel? Is it Angie Leads? Is it Yelp? I noticed that Yelp is just becomes like people dropping their pants in a bidding war because they get 5-10 quotes and people are doing it for free. So it's like, I can't compete with that.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm going. People are getting 5 or 10 quotes, and we're doing a bidding war. You don't want to be going after the customers that are looking for the lowest common denominator, lowest common, lowest priced service, right? You're not the economical service. You never want to compete to be the bottom. People are shopping on price. Let's let you lose that battle. I don't want you to get those clients. They're going to be entitled. They're going to be pushy and picky. I remember there was one client I had in particular where, this was like 10 years ago, so the prices were different, but it was like 137 was her estimate. And she was like, well, I only budgeted for 135. I'm like, you know what? It's like $4, $3, whatever it was. Fine. I'll take the $2 off and close the deal. Not a big deal. It's just a couple bucks. But I should have looked at that like it was a red flag because she was price shopping. She told me her budget. I'm like, I can fit in that budget and still make it work and still make money. But this particular customer was the biggest pain in the butt ever. This was before I knew too to stop my phone from ringing after 5 o'clock. So she would call me at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night and just say, hey, this thing happened with the cleaning today. And I just remember there was one time where like, I came home from a vacation, and the person that was babysitting my cat locked the cat out of the litter box. So there was just like a mess everywhere. And I'm like sitting there right in the middle of it, like trying to clean it, and getting this phone call from somebody talking about like whatever. And I'm just dealing with my own life stuff. And I just remember I shouldn't have given you that freaking coupon back then. So let's lose those battles. Like it's never going to win. Those are the 20% customers that make 80% of your work, the price shoppers. So what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you're selling them on value. If you are presenting the value, you will be able to close those deals. So what does it look like to present value, especially if we're just answering the phone? We have to have a website that's attractive, make sure we've got pictures of smiling people, and we got to sell, really what we're selling, which is, I'm looking at your website right now, and it's got hassle-free home cleaning and Ventura and Santa Barbara County, save you time, eliminate stress. I like that, save you time and eliminate stress. But I also have to read to kind of figure that out. Like, what are some imagery that we can put up there to sell that idea, right? Smiling people, everything looks relatively nice on the website, but, what can we do to kind of push that idea without having to read or understand? Just if I'm literally drunk looking at this website and I've just got completely blurred vision, is it saying that I'm going to have a better life and more time back with my family, right? That's kind of the first thing. Once people call, that's usually where we can close the deal. What I've noticed in my experience is we go through a certain pattern of calling. And you said you called my company to kind of see how we were, doing things, and you were impressed. The first thing that we're always going to do when people call is ask how they heard about us. How did you hear about us right off the gate? And the reason I do that is because the instinct is to close the deal and ask how you heard about us so that we can figure out which section of marketing was working so we can reinvest there. But I really want to know what the close ratio is for each one of those. And I can't get the close ratio if I'm only tracking the closes. I also got to track the losses. So I've got a spreadsheet that all my my employees use. They pick up the phone. How'd you hear about us? Okay, Yelp. Okay, Google. I'm going to write that down. And then any other little data, we look at who's taking the deal. So we've got multiple people answering the phone. So I got to know which human being is taking the deal. Did they close it, lose it, give them a quote? What happened? What channel it came from. That's super important data because it helps us dive into what's happening. So if you see, hey, it's $150 a lead, and we're getting 100 leads a month, but we're only closing 10%, there's room for improvement in sales, not marketing.
Right.
And that's the thing that I want to, just let sink in first, because almost universally, and everybody who wants to grow their business comes to me and says, I need more leads, I need more marketing. And I'm the marketing guy, so I love to talk about that, but I've got to pull myself back, because half the time, if we can just fix your sales, you don't need more leads. You can maybe do less marketing and make more money. Because if you're closing 10% and we can get you to 30% close, which should be totally possible, you can cut your marketing budget in half and you're still making more money. Most business owners with a little bit of education on sales can get from 10, 20% to 60, 70. And at that point, you're just not closing on the people that you don't want to. So what's the process like? Hey, how'd you find us? Then we get their zip code. We want to know where they're located. That also goes into the how'd you find us sheet, so I can keep track of that. Which zip codes are the most effective for close ratios. And do we have to switch the marketing for those, which you can totally control with Google Business Ads and not Google Business Ads, but traditional Google Ads. And then we talk about their job. How big's your house? Where is it located? Is it a move in, move out? Do you have anything else? You got pets? Whatever. Get all that information. And this is really a good opportunity for us to connect with them. And that's what you have to be doing when you're on the phone. You really have to go out of your way to try and make sure you sound approachable. You sound like you're willing to help. You're not trying to be pushy, salesy. You're establishing a relationship. And this conversation is really important for that. So as I'm kind of going through this, sort of the model, I don't know if you've ever gone shopping at like Nordstrom's or Neiman Marcus or even like a J.C. Penney.
Right.
You see a shirt on the rack that you really like. You're attracted to it for whatever reason. You go up, you pick it up, you look at it, you kind of maybe try it on, and then you pull out the tag and see what price it is. And that's by design. So if you go look at every shirt or jacket on the rack, they're hiding that tag. They're tucking it in somewhere so that you have to look for it. And the reason they do that is because they want you to see the item and fall in love with it. Invest in it mentally. Does it fit on me? Because now you're sort of visualizing yourself putting it on and wearing it and what outfit it's going to look like, what pants are going to go with the shirt, whatever. And then you look at the price. So you basically already sold yourself on the item and then you learn about the price. And the reason I'm sharing that is because we want to kind of do the same thing. So we're talking to you about the size of your house, everything that you need. And then the next thing I'll usually do is talk to you about when you want that cleaning. And the reason I want this is going to be probably a pretty long conversation when you want it, but I'm going to find a time that works on your calendar and my calendar. And I'm going to get you to invest mentally in the idea of this going on your calendar. When's it going to fit in? Like, let's do all the math right now. Cool. We got you, what you're looking for. We can do it. We've got the team, the time, the date. It's all set up. And then I've got a couple other questions that we ask people. And we're trying to create value through this conversation. So I'm trying to get you to invest mentally on a kind of psychological level here. And then I want you to learn that we are here to make sure everything goes right. So I do it through this next question I ask and then talking about our guarantee. So the first thing I'll do is say, before we go any further, I just want to make sure I've got all the information here. What could we do to be the best cleaning company you've ever hired? And I just throw the question out there and let them sit on it. And they'll usually give me a good solid couple beats of thinking about it. And it usually goes like this. Nobody's ever asked me that before. That's a really good question. And what the question's saying to them is that we want to be the best. We are invested in being the best. We're going to make sure we're the best cleaning company for you. That's why I'm asking you. And this does a couple of things, right? It psychologically gets them invested, lets them know that this is our intent to be the best, but this is where we are. And we ask everybody this. So we're going to be hitting on it, right? Because we're good at this. we've asked everybody how we could be the best and they're telling us. They're just telling us. Second thing is that, we can figure out what the red flags are going to be. Because I've had some people say weird stuff like, hey, I really want you to clean my ceiling. It's like, we don't do that. Like, I'm not even, like, you want me to mop your ceiling? Haven't heard of any cleaning service doing that, and it's just a little bit beyond what we can do, so now I can turn down this customer. But most of the time they're like, hey, I just want you to be honest. I want you to show up on time. I want you to be thorough. Type it up, put it in the notes, make sure to pay attention to details. And we've got that as our core values. Those core values of being honest, being on time, and being thorough came from asking people this question. They gave us some version of that. Be honest, be on time, be thorough. Hey, we can totally be honest with you. If something breaks, we're always the first person to tell you. Or, we always run on time. If not, we're going to give you a call and let you know that we're behind. We've got systems in place for that. But we're always on time. right? And now we can kind of speak to whatever their worry is, because they just told me, like, hey, I had this cleaner, and she was great, but sometimes she would show up at 3, sometimes she would show up at 2, sometimes she wouldn't show up till the next day. I just never knew. That's not us. We're going to take care of you. Then the next thing I want to do after we've kind of gone down that path is talk about our guarantee. So for us, it's our 200% happiness guarantee. What that means is if anything's missed or, not done to your liking, you're not happy enough to refer a friend, just let us know. We'll come back and reclean that for free. And I don't even explain the 200%, which is really, we'll do a recleaning. And if you're not happy, we'll do a refund. So 100, 200. But I just say, we're going to come back and take care of it. We're going to put our money where our mouth is, take care of you no matter what. And that's the last kind of thing that we're doing to establish value. So I've got them talking about it, visualizing it on their calendar, letting them know that we're on board with being the best, and that if we're not, we're so on board with it, your investment's sound and paying for us, because we will give you your money back. We're not, you're going to be satisfied with the quality of the cleaning. So after we kind of go through all that, then I give them the price. And when I run through most people with their sales strategy, it's usually that they ask them, give them the price, and just don't say anything. And I've noticed, so I will usually give the price and then tell them about the guarantee, because it gives them a moment to kind of process it. But I'll say the price, hey, your price is going to be $235.47. And of course, that includes our 200% happiness guarantee, and kind of go into that spiel. If I don't say the guarantee, they just say, okay, I'm going to call around a little bit, and I appreciate you sending me that quote. And then they're gone. So if I ever have a red flag, I just don't tell them about the guarantee. I don't close the deal. That puts me at the 10% close rate. If I tell them about the guarantee, talk to them about, what we'd like, what can we do to be the best, get them to put it on their calendar, all that gets me like 70, 80%. And, while I'm doing that, of course, I'm, kind of using the same voice, being very like nurturing and kind, and trying to draw them in and making sure that they know that I'm on their team. And that puts my sales through the roof. And the reason I want to talk about that before I talk about any lead generation, marketing, all that stuff, is because, you're going to be paying $150 a lead if you can't close the leads that are coming. So that's the other big piece. So as I'm kind of throwing all this at you, is anything sticking out? Is there anything you can apply? Are you doing all this stuff already?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not doing all those things. And that's really genius, the nuances that you've incorporated into that script. And some of those things don't seem very obvious when you start to explain the psychology behind it. It really makes sense. And saving the pricing towards the end. Right now, I'm answering the calls myself, as it doesn't make sense for me to hire somebody else, like buy the office space before I even have the volume or the need for it, kind of thing. And I've been in sales a while, so but I'm not. I don't see myself as like, the best salesperson on the planet. So, but I have not been following an exact process when everybody comes through. I kind of just say what I think is the best thing to sound, and I'm getting about a 50% closing ratio right now, collectively over the last 2.5 months with the LSA leads. But I know that if I know that ratio could definitely go up, because I know I lose some people sometimes on the pricing, and I know I'm missing some of the value. That some of these things that you're saying are totally standing out to me, and making sure to take them through that journey. And if sometimes I hear somebody that's a little bit easier, I don't take them through the journey, but then they don't close. I'm like, oh my gosh, I probably should have took them through the journey, even though they sounded like an easy close. Yeah. So like you're saying your process and these little nuances that make a world of difference, taking everybody through the journey, and not us. If somebody's like begging you for the price and they're not going to listen to you, they're probably not going to sign up anyways. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I need. Sure. That's what I need to remember. And I think that's really incredible. And a lot of those things are definitely standing out to me. I'm not incorporating those things. And I think if I did, I could definitely get that closing ratio up as 1,000%.
Yeah. And then your job is going to be to get away from being on the phones. So to get to $500,000 a year, you're not going to be able to continue answering the phones, because answering the phones is going to turn into, I've got to fire this cleaner, I've got to hire a new one, I've got to take care of this marketing stuff, I got to deal with this escalation over here that the customer service rep, the CSR, can't do. So you're going to end up being too busy to do all that. You're going to have to give up the phones eventually, hopefully soon. Like hopefully you're going to be getting 7 or 8 calls a day, and it's just going to be too much for you. That's what I want for you. That's the problem I want you to have. So the more you can document kind of what works for you, and get that on paper somewhere, the better it's going to be to hand off, the easier it's going to be to hand off without losing that 50% close ratio. If we can get some type of a script that's going to help, and you'll notice, like I kind of gave you my script, but you're going to notice, hey, if I do it this way, it works a little bit better. If I do it this way, it works a little bit less good for me. And you'll just start paying attention to it, just kind of start writing down sort of what the bullet points are so that you can hand that off eventually and hopefully have a healthy enough script that you can, get somebody else to have that, 60 to 50% close ratio, which I think is pretty good for, just most people you're going to hire to answer the phones. That's going to be really helpful down the line because we're going to need to delegate that away eventually if you want to grow. I mean, obviously, you're not sitting here telling me that you want to be on the phones all day. So
yeah,
I don't think I got to tell you on.
Yeah, I'd love to grow, and absolutely, I hear what you're saying there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's probably going to be the first thing just to help with those close ratios. Now you had also mentioned, to me before we got on here that you're paying about $150 a lead to close deals on Google ads.
Yeah. So
Google traditional, not GSLA,
correct.
But traditional ads.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So you were building these all on your own.
I've hired somebody on Fiverr to help me with it. I've been getting calls regularly from people that are cold calling me saying they can do it. And I'm speaking with another company now that looks pretty good, but and what more than likely happened is the man that built my Fiverr ads just didn't know that I hired off of Fiverr, just didn't know what he was doing. And the tracking data was not installed correctly into my Booking Koala website. So I wasn't even able to track the actions that were being taken. I am running a spreadsheet for my Google LSA, but I didn't even start a spreadsheet for the other things. And I haven't even been incorporating how did you find me? So it wouldn't have even mattered. That's a good thing that's sticking out to me now is like, if I start running these multiple channels, like, yeah, how did you find me? Angie's really easy because you have the app pulled up on your phone and you can kind of see. What other stands out to me, is it the PPC that's not slapping, or is there something wrong with the sales process on my website that's not working correctly? That's the other thing. So I like, it's probably the PPC that wasn't set up correctly, and the answer is probably both.
Yeah. So this is one of those orchestras where everybody's gotta kind of be playing in the same realm.
Sure.
So have you ever played around with Google page speed insights, or just kind of throwing your website in there to see how fast it loads?
I had a company do it for me, and my page was not loading as fast as some other websites. But I don't even remember the name of the website they used. But somebody did it for me on a cold call, and they showed me that my site wasn't that fast.
Sure. So. Yeah, it was probably a tool called Pingdom or Google Page Speed Insights. I just threw your website in there because I wanted to check this, because you told me something, which was I have a Booking Koala website. Booking Koala is a CRM for cleaning services. We can kind of put all of our stuff in there. It gets nice online bookings. I use Booking Koala, but their web builder, a lot of times when you're buying tools for your business, there's a tendency to want to have one tool that does everything. Can I have my website here, my customer list here, my email list here, and do all this stuff in one place? I don't have to have 1,000 pieces of software. That's the instinct.
Okay.
The truth is, if you were going to go cut down a tree, would you go and grab a hatchet, or would you get your Swiss Army knife out to cut down the tree?
Right. Yeah. The hatchet. Obviously.
Probably go for the hatchet, right? A hatchet, chainsaw, something that specializes in this, because it's going to take you a tenth of the time.
Right.
Or probably just will at least get the job done. The Swiss Army knife won't. So Booking Koala is very much this. Okay. Really, really great CRM. I use it. Good for keeping track of stuff and putting your pricing in there and capturing customer info. Love it for all that stuff. I'm a fan. But for their website side, it is notoriously slow. So that's probably going to be your first bottleneck with your ads, is we got a slow website. And when I put it in here into Google, it told me that it takes your website about 8.5 seconds to do its first what's called a content paint.
Okay.
And that means that when somebody goes to your website, it takes them about 8.5 seconds to just see something. And then about 11.1 seconds for it to be fully loaded. So this is way underperforming for what we want.
Right.
So there was a book called The A to Z Store. I think that's what it was called, that talks about Amazon and their growth and how they kind of grew. And one of the things that they learned is for every like millisecond they could shave off of the load time to the website, they were able to make, like an extra $10 million or something every second. It was an insane number. So the lesson there, and this is true for a home service business like us, it's true for Amazon. The faster your website loads, the better you're going to do. So if your website's loading this slow, and I've had other people that I've been coaching who have this same exact problem, time to get a new website. If you're going to be driving leads there. So general, you want whatever landing page that you're using to be fast.
Okay.
You want it to be easy to navigate. So if you want them to call, you want to have that front and center. So if you got a click to call button, just have it follow their thumb wherever they go so they can just click to call you. Really bright, nice call to action. So, the test, like I said, is if you're a drunk person and you have like just kind of like squint your eyes and blur your vision, like, can you tell where to click on this website? Without really basically being able to see, that's what you want to get, because people are going to give you like a second, maybe two if you're lucky, to look at your website, figure it out, and just click and get the answer. I want to call somebody and get connected. So I would probably start there. Now, this doesn't mean, hey, go invest $5,000 in a new WordPress website or Squarespace website, whatever. This could just be, we need to build a landing page that's faster. So did the Fiverr guy not know what he was doing? It's possible.
Oh yeah. These guys are hitter. Oh, no, that was a rhetorical question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. Well, yeah. So sure. Do you want to share anything about? It sounds like
there's nothing of value I could share down that road, but I think it's hit or miss when you're hiring people on Fiverr, and they have they're from a third world country. They're trying to make money to feed their families, and they're going to say whatever they say to but
yeah. But yeah, they could be optimistically, really great. I mean, when I first started doing SEO, I was like, yeah, I'm a great SEO. Hire me to do your SEO. Here's the cost. And knowing what I know now, I didn't know anything. I shouldn't have hired. I wouldn't have hired me, and nobody should have back when I first started. This was, years and years ago, but I was optimistic. I wasn't lying to people. I just didn't know what I didn't know. So when I'm looking for somebody to do this kind of stuff for me, pay-per-click is significantly challenging to find somebody good. What I've found is in pay-per-click advertising, the people that get experience doing it, they are usually getting experience by working for a bigger company, because it costs money to learn these lessons, right? You need to spend, I don't know, $200,000, $300,000 with Google Ads to just learn what you're doing. Like that's your training wheels. Wow. So you need to find somebody who's got that experience, but is also willing to work with a small business and knows about working with a small business. And when you're getting that experience, a lot of people are getting it working for a big company. It's typically big companies are like, hey, you're the web guy. Can you figure out this Google Ads thing? Just take it over for me. And if you're doing insurance or legal stuff or whatever, I just need to spend the money. I don't care if I'm getting a 2% close ratio and spending $200 a lead, because, it's a $100 million a year business. So it's not the end of the world for me if I don't, make this work, if the cost per lead's not accurate. And most businesses like that aren't tracking good enough numbers to be able to tell if they're closing or not. But for us little guys, it matters. If I'm paying $150 a lead versus $50 a lead versus $20 a lead, it's hugely different at the bottom line. Right. So with all that, I tend to either find somebody that somebody else can refer to me that they've had a good experience with, or I look for somebody who's kind of familiar with that niche. Maybe they only do PPC for cleaning companies or home services. So the people that I use is a company called Click Call Sell. And full disclosure, I do work with them on their SEO program and try to help them there. But I started working with them for PPC before I was directly involved with their company. ClickCallSell.com, great people. They're very, very affordable. I have yet to find somebody who is like, oh yeah, they were the cheapest and the best, and they were very responsive. And I haven't found anybody that told me otherwise. Nothing but good feedback on them from all the people I coach, which is why I signed up with them. Now, does pay-per-click advertising work for you? It may not. It might not be the right thing right now, because you're at a level where if you can get 2 calls a day, you're going to be happy. Do you feel like that's true?
Yeah. LSA in December was incredible. It was like 5, 6 calls a day. And there was at one point, like my first, I think I'm in month 2.5. I need to look back, but there was about the 1.5 month mark where I was like almost like 5, 6 jobs a day, like for a couple of weeks at one point. And then January hit. I'm sure this business is cyclical. I don't, what I'm understanding is I'm getting called a lot from people off of care.com looking for work right now. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who's slow in this area in Ventura County. So, but something happened where I'm just getting like 1, 2 calls a day on LSA. And that's like, I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? You know what I mean? I need to start looking for another funnel. And, but yeah, that's kind of what's happening.
No, you're 100% right. It is a seasonal business. November, December are always going to be really, really busy. It kind of goes like this. Kind of busy first week because you're doing move in, move outs from the week before, people that are just kind of transitioning. I don't want to move my own stuff, clean my own house during the holidays. Gets slow, then gets really busy right before Thanksgiving, then gets, still pretty busy with move in, move outs, and then slow again second week of December, and then really busy right before Christmas, and then move in, move outs. And then we're into January, we're slow again. People are kind of recovering from the hangover of their credit card bill and all the money they were spending during the holidays, right? So all that happens. For me, I'm in Arizona. We have weird weather, so winter is usually pretty good for us. January is typically okay. February is like, man. Then, people start getting their tax returns. So, March, April, May gets better and better. And then as soon as it gets over 100 degrees here, and it'll stay there for like 6 months, we kind of slow down, we sort of plateau. And then, we start building up once, so we have snowbirds here, so they leave during the summer and then they come back during the winter. So they're gone during the summer, they come back, kids go back to school, and then our business starts picking up again around August, September. So that'll happen. There's going to be a natural ebb and flow to it, and December is the busy time. That's when you really don't have to spend a lot of marketing. You're just going to make money. So we got to typically plan our marketing around those busy times. Just give yourself a year, write down kind of what's happening, where leads are coming from, and it'll start to become pretty obvious where the busy times are.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be a problem. All that to say, we just got to find the channels that are working for you. So if you've got Angie's List, if you've got Yelp that's working, start recording where you're getting the leads from, double down on those channels, maybe cut back on the other ones. And what you're going to really want to do here, the mistake that I see a lot of people making when they're new, is I want to try a little bit of everything. I got to just see what works. I don't know what works and what doesn't. I'm just going to do a little bit of everything. Have you had that thought? Are you doing that right now?
Absolutely. Just Yeah, you read my mind. I was doing Yelp, and then I signed with Angie, and thankfully Angie's about breaking even right now. It's like the closing is like 1 out of 15. It's just some of the people you call, they're legitimate scams. So it's just not great quality there. I'm not really sure what they're doing, and it's the nature of the beast. So, but yeah, 100%. And I just get not anxious, but I feel like I'm not being productive enough. And I know that my cleaning, the first month I was cleaning several times a week, like just to try to make as much money as possible. I'm not above cleaning a house, and I'll get in and clean the house. But I realized very quickly that my time wasn't well spent doing that, because I started missing phone calls. Right. And that's when I just realized I just need to start taking, the phone calls and working in this area, the aspect. In addition to that, some of the women that are working, there's about 5 of them that are consistently working with me. If I'm not able to keep them consistently booked, I notice that they will book themselves out with other companies. So I'm also stealing from them, and now they're not able to provide. So I need to keep them happy. And if I'm out there doing jobs, trying to make more money, well, now I'm losing some really great people that are working with me.
Yeah. There's never going to be a scenario where it's going to be the right decision for you to go out and clean.
Yeah.
And I
definitely not.
thought that when I was small too when I was, kind of first starting out. It's like, oh, I just got to go and get this done. But like you said, you're taking away from other buckets. You're not able to answer the phone. You're missing that call. That call could have been a $200 job, and now it's gone because you were trying to take care of this other $200 job. It's a universal thing that happens with business. You're going to get to a level, and then you're going to realize you can't get any higher. And no matter how many more leads or sales or marketing dollars you spend, you're just kind of stuck at 300,000. So it's like, okay, what do I have to do to change this? I need to hire somebody to answer the phones is typically what it is, right around that range. And then having somebody else to kind of take that aspect from you would get you to about 500,000, 600,000. It's like, okay, why am I stuck here? What do I need to do different? And then that'll, the next step there will change. And it's usually reinventing the systems, which typically means you're stepping out of something and into something else, okay. And giving that, delegating or automating whatever task that is, that's holding you back. Okay. So the first real step is all these marketing channels that you're using. Let's start recording where calls are coming from and what the close ratio is on each one of those. And whichever one we're doing the best at, let's double down on that. And this is exactly what I did. I did the same exact thing you did. I'm going to do Thumbtack and Yelp and Google and retargeting ads and Facebook and all the things. And I was spending all this time and money, but I really wasn't doing anything well. I was just kind of doing. And then I realized, okay, for me at the time, it was Yelp. Yelp was doing really good for me. I'm going to double down on Yelp. I'm going to spend a little bit more money there. Okay, Google ads are doing pretty good. I'm going to double down on that, spend a little bit more money there. And you'll notice that you're going to hit a ceiling doing that. It'll be like, hey, if I spend $500 on Google, I'm making like a good $2 or $3 grand every month. If I spend $1,000, I'm making like $6 grand. If I spend $2,000, I'm making $6 grand still. Okay, I'm going to go back down to $1,000. Like right. That's my ceiling, right? And you just have to keep track of that. It's called your keep KPIs, your key performance indicators.
Okay.
Keep track of those, measure those, and just make sure you're keeping track of it, right? Okay. Where are we actually closing these deals? And just double down on whatever is working. Because at the size you're at, Yelp, Google, GSLA, all these tools should be able to deliver you enough leads to kind of feed your beast until it gets big enough that it needs a second channel. And you'll kind of notice where those things are. Because you'll read business books and things like that. And they'll say always have like 5 marketing sources at least, so you're diversified. If one channel goes down, you still got the other 4 working. That doesn't really work when you only need like 2 leads a day, mm-hmm. right? You want to just be doing enough and do the one thing really, really well, mm-hmm. to close that business essentially. So sure. All that to say, I think you're on the right track. You're doing the right stuff, and it's really just going to kind of come down to keeping track of that stuff and doubling down on what's working until it doesn't. And then when you want to get back involved with Google Business Ads or Google Ads, you're probably making enough. Are you making enough money to at least break even with them right now? Kind of doing it the way you're doing it?
But with the pay-per-click?
Or pay-per-click, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know maybe that's not the Google Ads. I don't even know where they were being run, but they put the name, your website on the top, and it says sponsored. So that was the Google ad that was running, where they type in the keyword on Google.
Oh, you're doing it's like the retargeting ads, maybe.
Yeah. Google pay-per-click is what I was sold on Fiverr. No, I wasn't. I was losing money. It was like $500 every few days, and I was losing. It became like almost $2,000 in the first 3 weeks. Not more than that. It's the point where I just put a pause on the ads. We're getting tons of clicks. The click-through rates were insane, but I wasn't closing anything, which made me think the website was just bad because the ads were working. Right now, for Google local service ads, those are great. I'm able to close all day 50% of those every single person I get on the phone, and that's and with Yelp, what I noticed. I don't know if you're experiencing this with Yelp. They changed their business model where even in Ventura, I'm noticing in Ventura County, you can't just want calls anymore. You have to take the messages. And when you get the messages and they fire off to 5 or 6 different people, are you still seeing those profitable Yelp or?
I turn those off. I do not do the messages. I don't let them do the messages. And they will tell you like the Yelp. I've literally gone in screaming matches with Yelp people, and I'm a very calm person.
Right. It's robbery.
I've turned those off, and they will turn them off if you ask them to, from what I understand. Maybe something's different now. I haven't talked to anybody about that, but I do not mess with those messages. So Google local service ads has messages, Yelp has messages. Everybody wants you to message and text.
Yeah.
I have never closed a single one of them. I've heard some people that are really good at it. It's not me. I turn them off because I can close a deal on the phone. Everything else, like you said, is those price shoppers and you're wasting money on it. So once again, keeping track, KPIs, like, okay, these messages failing. I'm wasting an hour doing these quotes and going back and forth and I'm not getting nothing from it. We're going to go over here now. We're going to move this direction, do something completely different.
That's genius. So maybe because you asked them and they turn that off on your account, because through my my login, my portal, I didn't have that option. So maybe that's the secret. I need to ask them, hey, go ahead.
Yeah, call them, get them on the phone and see if you can ask them. If not, if you're having trouble working with Yelp, Yelp now has a program where you can work with an agency and the agency gets to work with their Yelp rep. And it's a way better experience because you're not dealing directly with Yelp, and the Yelp reps that the agencies have are the actual smart people that aren't trying to BS you. Like the people that you talk to on the phone just call you out of the blue like 8 times a day. They're going to give you better help than those people will, because those other people aren't marketers, they're salespeople. They're really not there to help you. They're just there to tell you, hey, you should spend more money on Yelp. Right. Okay. And, I like Yelp. I make good money off of it. I spend about $4,000 a month with Yelp and it works for me, but I'm also keeping track of those KPIs and paying attention to it. Because even doing that, there's a point where, you start raising your budget and then your cost per click goes up. Right. And then you start raising your budget down. You're still getting as many clicks, but now your cost per click is going down. But you just have to keep track of those key performance indicators. So at the end of the day, I think you're doing everything right. I would say to start, before we start diving into like how to use GSLA and all this other stuff, let's start with what's working. Let's figure out what's working. Yeah, and I would it's as simple as a Google spreadsheet. That's all I keep. And all it says is the date, where they came from, the amount of the quote, and did we win or lose that? And then who took the call, and then what zip code were they in? But for you don't need to keep track of who took the call. It's only you. And what zip code's probably going to be less important right now. So just, when did you call? Where were you calling from? And I just ask, like, hey, where are you calling from? Like, how did you find us? Google, Yelp, whatever. Sometimes you got to ask for a little bit of clarification, but let's start there, get that information, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Fantastic. Okay.
And what you'll find is just by keeping track of these KPIs and sort of paying attention to it a little bit more, you'll be like, oh yeah, with these Yelp messages, I'm not closing any of these deals, but if they call me, I'm closing 50% of them. I only want to be called. And how do we make that happen? Right. So you just kind of got to learn what questions you have to ask. And that data is that power that lets you do that.
Absolutely. And that's great. Cool. And as far as when you pay your cleaners, I heard in one of your podcasts, you pay them between like $30, $40 an hour. And when you're staffing the job, is it always an ongoing negotiation, or I kind of inform them of what they do? And I notice some of the girls will ask for gas money if they have to drive 30, 40 minutes. Do you kind of have like, I'm willing to pay up to this amount of money? I noticed a booking qual has
I'm going to address that really, really quick.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And I've got a hard stop in 3 minutes.
Sure.
So
Gotcha.
Lightning round. No, we don't negotiate all the time. So you did tell me you're using independent contractors. You're small enough that it makes sense right now. It's probably a smart move. I want you to try to move away from that and get to employees as quick as you can. Okay. But you shouldn't be giving gas money to independent contractors. You shouldn't be buying them supplies. When I say I'm paying them $30 to $40 an hour, that's an average per hour. And I break it down that way for my cleaners because they don't speak percentage. They will come and tell you, as an independent contractor, I need 80%, otherwise it feels like I'm getting too much. If you tell them, hey, you're making 43%, which is about what most employees, people working for a company should be making, maybe as an independent contractor, 50%. If you tell them they're getting 50% and you're getting 50%, they just think you're taking home twice as much as they are or just as much as they are and doing none of the work, not realizing that, hey, insurance costs this much, credit card processing costs this much, my time is this much, all that stuff. So I just break it down by hour. You're going to be making about 30 to 40 an hour. And it's a range because they're getting a percentage and it depends on how fast they clean.
Sure.
If you feel like they're not getting enough, that probably means you're not priced high enough. If they're getting a percentage. Okay. And I made that mistake really early on. Like, hey, I need more money for this job. It's too hard. There's a lot of things going on there that you have to unpack. So part of it was, hey, these certain jobs are really tough. I need to have a heavy duty cleaning fee. That's an add-on that goes by square footage. So if we just in a hard house that needs more TLC, I got to up the price and I'm going to do it with this
Right.
heavy duty fee. And then I eventually added two. I got an extra TLC fee and a heavy duty fee. So if it's just a little bit dusty, we're going to go extra TLC. If it's really, really dirty, like piles of dishes, we're going to go heavy duty. And we're always going to ask a customer for permission before we upgrade them to a different thing. But, you know, it could be something like that, or it could just be, you know, for me, my experience was, hey, I'm not making enough. Okay, I guess you're at 60% now, or 63, whatever I started them at before I knew what to charge. Went to pay cleaners. I'm like, you got to be at 80. And I just raised my cleaner up to 80. Then I realized, like, no, I'm just not charging my customers enough. I didn't have enough confidence to charge them enough.
Right.
But you can't think with your own wallet.
Right.
You want to set pricing based on whatever your cost of goods sold are. Mm-hmm. So what does it cost for that cleaner, mileage, cleaning chemicals, marketing expenses, all that stuff, and you have to double that. If you don't double that, that's not going to pay for your, you know, vehicles if you want to buy those, your office spaces, your marketing fees, your credit card processing, your insurance, your future employees, all that stuff.
Okay. So takeaway here, make them employees over contractors and find some good ones. That's kind of what you're saying in a way.
Especially being in California. Mm-hmm. I know companies that work this way in California with independent contractors, but it's very much, hey, we're a marketplace. It says everywhere on the website they're independent contractors. There's no gray area. Yeah. But even then, I've also had friends in California who are using independent contractors that got sued and ended up losing $20,000, $30,000 over lawsuits just by having independent contractors, and they didn't even have a big presence in California. There was like one of their locations of like 17 locations they had. So just be careful with independent contractors in California. You know, my business uses them right now. I'm moving away from it. And especially starting out now, the longer you wait to move away from it, the harder it's going to be. But you're going to be able to sleep better at night having employees. But yeah, that's also a question for a lawyer, HR person.
I understand.
Not me. So talk to other people, but
understand.
You know, California, Hawaii, it's probably the hardest place to do that at. So don't,
right.
Don't put yourself at risk.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. It's such a privilege speaking with you. And I really mean that. Getting to speak to you is really excited. I've been talking about it the past couple of weeks. Man, I'm going to talk with Ryan and telling everybody about it. You're like a celebrity in this world to me anyways. But, so yeah, I'd love to speak with you, again, maybe not on the podcast, so I can email you about that or to continue. I feel like there's still things that obviously we can't cover the scope of this in one conversation, and be very grateful.
Yeah, and there's going to be always, but just make sure you're engaging with the Facebook groups and connecting with other entrepreneurs, and that's where you're going to get a lot of this knowledge for free.
Sure, absolutely.
And then there's always coaching in the future, and I have plenty of people that we're talking every week because there's always something to work on as we're growing.
And happy to